everyone in this industry are very excited about a lot of different technologies. The first is Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, they are talking about Bitcoin, but what makes me very excited about Bitcoin is I kept asking myself why we can trust a bunch of different nodes. Actually, we don't know them. They can help me to book the ledger for one asset, which is Bitcoin. So this is the first question I had in my mind when I read the white paper of Bitcoin. But the technology inside explained very well, and it solved the problem that everyone, you can trust a bunch of different anonymous nodes. They will behave well. They will be telling you the truth based on the motivations or something else, and they can book the ledger for you. So this is very exciting. And starting from 2014, we see the project Ethereum. I kept asking myself why we can trust a bunch of different nodes, anonymous nodes. They can execute a kind of program, moving funds, moving the token, moving the value from one account to another, according to the code we write. So this is also a very interesting question, and you can find the answer in the white paper, how the different nodes, they are working together, and how the concept of a smart contract is working. So when I continue my journey in the blockchain, actually I found that there is a very necessary technology in finance which has not been solved, but if we are using the technology of Bitcoin, we can solve it. So we developed the technology of DCRM. In today's financial world, every value transactions, we need to rely on the centralized third party to have a type of assets to kept in custody in one centralized organization, so that two different parties, they can exchange the value, they can make the transactions. So this is how we are doing today. But if we can have a bunch of different nodes, anonymous nodes, they can help you to book the ledger. They can help you to execute the codes, moving the value from one place to another in one smart contract. Why not we can have the same bunch of nodes to help you to manage the assets outside of this chain? So this is the original thought we had in our mind, how to use the technology of Bitcoin to create something new, to build the third generation, or we can call it the new generation. It's a kind of very breakthrough technology. As long as we can have a chain to help anyone in the world to manage assets no matter where they are, then we can imagine that all of those type of assets, they can interact with each other. Mm-hmm. Then this is how finance is working, right? So that means we can have finance running in a very distributed way, in a very efficient way.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin, they are just trying to book the ledger for one type of coin,
right,
which is Bitcoin. In Ethereum, with the function of smart contract and such kind of ERC20 protocol, you can generate token on Ethereum, mm-hmm, and you can have them interact with each other. But that's it. You cannot have two types of assets to be running like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They cannot be running in one smart contract in today's technology environment. But this is what we want to. This problem is exactly the problem we want to solve. So we want to use the distributed way to use these same bunch of different nodes to help anyone in the world to manage assets outside of our blockchain. No matter it is a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or a kind of digital assets representing the tangible goods or intangible goods, even the stable coins. A lot of people they are asking, why do we need stable coins? Because the real business world is based on the fiat currency, and if we digitize them, then we can make the real business programmable. So this is the most amazing part. That's why we try to build this technology, DCRM, which is the distributed control rights. That means these nodes, they are working together to help anyone to manage any type of assets. You can lock in the assets in any other blockchain, distributed ledger. You can have them running on one platform, which is Fusion, and have all of them running in one smart contract. So that will be the solution once for all to solve the problem of interoperability. We started the research in the middle of 2017. At that time, we all remember that a lot of different projects, we see those projects actually they have different type of tokens. So these tokens cannot work together. They cannot interact with each other. So we start to do some research to find the possibility if we can have all of those different type of assets to kept in custody in a distributed way, not in a centralized way. Because if we do it in a centralized way, it causes some problem like the cost will be very high, and the fact is we cannot have all of the type of assets to be sitting in one centralized organization. There are a lot of different countries, a lot of different companies. They competed with each other. So we cannot. If we can have this function to be running in a distributed way, then we can. We can have all types of different assets. They just need to lock in on this platform. Then we can do it. So starting from the middle of 2017, we started to do some research. And just within 2 months, we felt that we probably got some very practical solution. And we started to do some code to test and try to make sure it really works. And then we initiate our project. We call it Fusion. The name of Fusion, actually, it's a very good name because the objective of the project is try to fuse all type of assets together and make them interact with each other. We see a lot of different projects, and in today's financial world, there are maybe hundreds, thousands, even millions different value ecosystems. They are silo ecosystems, right? So they try to solve the problem. And but from my perspective, a lot of different projects, they only focus on the atom
the atomic swap.
Yeah. Atom swap. So they just want to make a simple transaction among different blockchains. If one transaction happens in one blockchain, then it will trigger another transaction on another chain. So in this way, we need to make changes to all different blockchain projects or different distributed ledger projects. I think that's one of the way, but that's not a very efficient way. And we also see people, they rely on a semi-centralized way, like using a type of multi-signature. But the fact is, not all of the blockchain projects, they have the multi-signature function. so they cannot solve all of the problem. So the amazing part of Fusion is that if we can have all of those nodes to help you to manage your assets, no matter what kind of assets, then we can have all of those assets to be to be interacted with each other. So that's why I say the way we are doing is a kind of once for all solution. If we can conquer this problem, then we can have it to serve for no matter the crypto world, or even we can have them running for have Fusion to run for the real business world, because real business world, they also need the interoperability. They need to connect with each other. That's why we see the Western Union, the SWIFT, they are doing this, but they are only focusing on the transactions. But there is a much bigger market. We call it the financial market. That's a transaction or value transfer between two different value ecosystems regarding the financial instruments. Not only the transactions, not only the fiat currency transfer, right?
So with some of these interoperability solutions, they're thinking some are attacking at second layer, some of it, I think that's what I've seen most is second layer solutions. And you're saying you went the opposite way and went to the protocol layer and said, okay, instead of going up higher, we're going to go down. It's almost like, with hardware security, bringing security foundational level, where you can embed the security into the hardware versus trying to say there's a software solution on the top for security.
Exactly.
Got it.
And we target just like in the age of internet, the company Cisco, they are just trying to build a hardware to solve the problem of exchange of information, right? But what Fusion is trying to do is to build an infrastructure to help the different ecosystem, they can exchange value. So we're just looks like we are just trying to build a value switch or value router. So far, I haven't seen any other project doing in this way. But we also can see some projects they are trying to go deeper layer. They want to make it a kind of universal solution, a generic solution, rather than a kind of solution on the top layer. Because the top layer always, you can see it is more easy to use, but sometimes if the situation is different, then you need to make a lot of changes. From the technical standpoint, we have realized the locking process. We have, through the DCRM 3.0, actually it is based on the code we have released on the GitHub. And so far, we have 3 different versions of front end. 2 of them, they are developed by the community. And they just trying to use the infrastructure or the core code we provide in the GitHub to demonstrate such kind of very interesting function. The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and at the same time, we also support all of the ERC20 tokens. And we also can support even some protocol they are not using ECDSA encryption method. We can have them to be locked in through the DCRM platform. And we can have a bunch of different nodes. They work together. They don't reveal any information to any other party. We don't need a centralized or a single node to put all of the private key together or put all of the public key together. What they need to do is to do their job, and the function is finished. The function is realized. So this is the function we can demonstrate to the world. If we explain this to the crypto world, we can let them know that have you seen any projects they can have Bitcoin and Ethereum to be sitting on one platform, to be sitting in one smart contract? No, but these technology, DCRM, we have developed to realize this function. This is the foundation. It's a kind of foundational function which can support the future like universal account number and the universal smart contract, some kind of very advanced function. So this is a very foundational function. And for the financial institutions, we are going to tell them, if you are going to have the stablecoin, digitized fiat currency, to interact with any other financial instruments like bonds, futures, or some other tangible goods like bags or even real assets, we need to have all of them to be interactive with each other, to locked in on one platform. So this is what we can show them. They can experience it through our DCRM 3.0. All of those nodes, they can work together to help you to manage the asset. So this is the essential function we try to demonstrate to the world. This is the first time in the world we can have different nodes to help any people to manage your asset in a distributed way. As everyone knows, this is the first time in the blockchain world we have a bunch of different nodes to manage assets outside of our chain. So that means the boundary has been expanded, and that also will introduce some more risks, and maybe some risks we have not noticed yet. Even if we have our code tested, but just like DAO, it was developed by a bunch of very smart people, but always you can find some very tricky bugs in the code and make it a disaster. So that's why we hope we can have DCRM function to be running in parallel for quite a while to make sure it is safe. And as long as it is safe, then we can have them integrated with our public chain immediately. But this is the prerequisite. We cannot tolerate any risk, any risk. So this is the key reason we keep DCRM to be running in parallel, separately from the mainnet.
Yeah, especially considering the value proposition of Fusion is that you're going to have billions, maybe trillions of dollars running, dollars worth of digitized assets running on DCRM. There's no room for error there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't stop us to engage the financial institutions because the code is there, and we can demonstrate how we can use the different nodes, the distributed nodes, to manage the assets. That is also enough for us to engage the financial institutions, to let them know we have solved this problem, and you can build some other kind of application on it. It's enough. So we have it running in parallel. We just mitigate any type of risks, and we also try to engage different financial institutions at the same time, and we can have all of this function to be integrated with our mainnet later. It can be modularized.
Oh, it can?
Yeah, it can be modularized. And this is another reason we have it running in parallel, because technology-wise, we have solved this problem, and we need some time to craft it into a product. if we can modularize it, then any financial institutions or other people they want to use it, they just can use the DCRM function to plug in and make it running. This is not a kind of you only can build the blockchain on top of it. It's a kind of module you can use, everyone can use.
Oh, that's great. I think people will really be happy about that.
For the next version, we are trying to integrate the Pallier function in our DCRM code so that we can enable different nodes to work with each other in even more secure way, And at the same time, the team in Fusion is trying to build some very interesting use cases for the financial world to the real business world that we can use this to be running for a lot of different type of real business today, and they can see the benefit. In our next version of DCRM, not only the protocol, we will also build some application and use case on top of that protocol.
Got it. You talked a little bit about the community has developed some front-end versions for DCRM. Do you know who those people are?
Yeah, one is developed by the community leader, community technology leader of Fusion. His name is Joey. And another is developed by the very important supporter of Fusion. Later, when we release all of this, you can see who developed that.
Do you talk to those guys at all about like when they're developing these sorts of things?
Yeah,
Are you in touch with them?
They talk to Fusion team frequently, and they ask questions. They need support from the protocol level, and but they are doing a very good job. From my perspective, they developed a much good looking interface. People can have, the community can interact. So they're doing a very good job. And we also welcome more and more people from the community, technology people. You can try to build the front end and use the code to build some use case on top of it. Fusion encourages people in the community to experience how to lock in assets, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it's a very interesting experience. This is the first time in a blockchain you can have a bunch of different nodes to manage the assets for you. So we encourage the community to lock in testnet of Bitcoin, testnet of Ethereum at this moment to lock in those assets on Fusion, on DCRM. And we also encourage the people from the community to build the applications and more and more front end, because user experience is key. Technology is built to serve the people, so we hope we can have more and more supporters to build a better user experience front end, so that people can experience the lock-in and lock-out process very easily. And we also encourage the people from the community to help us to run the node for DCRM 3.0 and DCRM 4.0 in the future. In that way, you can play a role just like a bank, right? Or you can play a role like an anonymous node. In one direction, Alliance chain, you are just like a kind of bank. And in the public chain, you're like an anonymous node. So in that way, you can experience the whole process. Try to help us try to find the bugs. Mm-hmm. And also we encourage the people in the community to read the yellow paper and to understand how it is going to work, and try to let more people know about our technology. If the non-technology people, you are interested in the technology of DCRM, I think the best way is to help us to imagine what kind of use case can be built on it. Maybe you are not familiar with coding, but definitely you can give us a very good idea how it can be used. And maybe you can also find some other technical people to work with you together to do some fantastic things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're right. A lot of technical people have experience in the business world or the finance world, yes. Or maybe some of us know about factoring, for example. Yeah. And we could say, hey, if this could do this, if DCRM could do this, or this facilitate this type of transaction, I could use this in my business, or I could use this to transact in some other scenario that maybe all the technical people don't necessarily have exposure to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's up to the non-technical people to help, to pair up with the technical people to say, hey, we need to work together in order to keep moving the DCRM forward. We've got to work together, because yes. Technical people can't come up with every single solution, every single scenario.
Yeah. This is what we need, and this is what we hope the community can help Fusion. The more adoptions we have in the real business world, the more successful the Fusion will be in the future. I hope the community can understand the meaning of DCRM, why we developed this technology, and what does it mean to the blockchain world and to the real business world. Some people, they just see technology. I have to admit there are a lot of different projects came up in the past 2 years in blockchain industry, but DCRM is a very, very interesting and breakthrough technology, which can help us to build a lot of applications, a lot of use cases which cannot be done before. So this is what we hope the community can do for DCRM. Understand what's the meaning, why it is meaningful for both blockchain world and the real business world, and let more people know about it, and try to help us to imagine what's the possibility. The world does not lack technology. The world lacks imagination. If we really want to have the bright future, we need to have imagination first. We need to know the possibilities first. The main entrance for information is obviously the website of Fusion, website.org. And later on, we will put more and more documents and the interface, how to use the code we have released in the GitHub. And of course, later on, I think we will try to build more and more support resources to help the community to adopt this technology.